Hello and welcome to KILT BEARD Company's Weekend Flex. I'm Joseph. Hope you guys are having a great week. Hope you had a great week and you're both having an even better weekend. Today we are trying Bushmills Reserve Black. This was a very special gift from one of my wife's co-workers. So Keith, thank you out in Ireland. Appreciate it. I'm going to give it a shot. So you see this has already been opened a little bit. This is my second take of this video. Took it and I went through editing and basically the volume wasn't working because the software was updating and I went back to default. So nonetheless, second time's the charm. So Bushmills is an Irish whiskey. It's a very popular Irish whiskey, and it holds its allure in Ireland and around the world as one of the top premier, I guess you would call it, Irish whiskeys in the world. And they've been around for over 400 years now, since the 1700s. I believe it's 1700s. And it's one of those Irish whiskeys that it never gets old because you know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get a quality triple distilled whiskey. And with this one, you get a lot of fruits, a lot of the deep fruits, and a cherry cask, and a little bit of a bourbon cask. So cheers to the weekend. Super smooth, very clean, has a deep, fruity marriage with the barrel. So it's kind of like they meet together. So you get the fruit and all of a sudden it just meets with the barrel taste. Really good, very enjoyable, especially for a weekend. There's not much thought that goes into this particular one, in my opinion. You're not thinking of all the depths and flavors. This is just a really good, straightforward whiskey that they have honed in their craft over hundreds of years now. And this is still the one of those products that you just can't say anything really negative to, because they've just have mastered what they do. I do think that this is one of the top 2, top 3 Irish whiskeys, in my opinion. If you just want to make sure that there's no guessing in the game of things, this and Jameson up here, opposite in the right there, Jameson. That's a Bow Street bottle right there. I only have one of those, so I haven't opened one yet. I've tried the 18-year regular one before. Delicious. I love it. Jameson is probably one of my favorite Irish whiskeys. However, Bushmills, like I said, you can't go wrong with Bushmills. So a little bit more about Bushmills if you don't know. This particular one right here is Bushmills Black Bush. Irish whiskey combines an exceptionally high amount of malt whiskey married with a lighter grain whiskey, and then matured in former, I think it's called Oloroso sherry and bourbon casks. This unique recipe means Black Bush has a rich, fruity notes and a deep, intense character, balanced by an incredibly unique smoothness. It's best enjoyed neat, like we are doing right now, over ice or in a classic cocktail. The most seasoned Irish whiskey drinkers know you can't beat Black Bush. So some of the tasty notes on here, it says it delivers dark, velvety, fruity notes right through to the long finish. I completely agree with that. It's kind of like a handoff from the fruit to the barrel taste to continue on that finish right there. So it's a really good, balanced sip to taste, I guess you would call it, maybe. They a little bit more about their history, because there are so many great whiskey companies. Either if you go back as far as Bushmills goes, or as soon as some of the ones in the States for the bourbons, for recent concoctions of whiskey. Bushmills is named for the mills that made the barley and the river Bush, which remains the water source to cut their whiskey to proof today. First to do it, second to none, and triple distilled is their motto. So in the late 1700s and early 1800s, when Bushmills was still young, the crown imposed taxes on those distilling in Ireland through a tax on malted barley. So even then, malted barley was known to make the finest whiskey, but those taxes forever changed Irish whiskey in general, as most distilleries began using unmalted barley or other grains, including corn, in their mash bill. This became known as the pot still whiskey, as that is really popular today. But Bushmills never wavered and continued to use only malted barley for its single malt whiskey. And that's a point I want to circle back around to earlier, is that the way that they continue to work on their craft to the point where they have become kind of the juggernaut that they are in the Irish whiskey world. Between Irish whiskey and Scotch, it's the top two types of whiskeys that that are purchased around the world, and Bushmills has definitely carved out their piece of the pie, and that's not going away anytime soon. So awesome glass. Once again, thanks Keith. The old Bushmill distillery glass here, it says on air. Really cool glass. Awesome drink. Appreciate it. It's going to be a great weekend, and yeah, cheers. Really good. It's probably been about at least 10 years since I've tried that, but it was a good one to taste, and I appreciate Keith and his choice here. So, as we like to do on the weekend flex, we'll do the wrist flex. So today I'm wearing my Tudor Black Bay Pro GMT. I'll take it off here in a second. How it looks on the wrist. This is what I would call my daily driver, and it's a 39 mil, which is honestly the perfect size watch for almost any wrist, in my opinion. This is what it looks like. I love the cream hands and the orange contrast, which is just unbelievable, and the real steel. It just looks like a hunk of steel. It's just really awesome, I think. Just really awesome. Super comfortable. The quick adjustment back here. So the reason why you have quick adjustments, usually for two reasons. Once the bracelet has been set to your wrist, is so sometimes if you're in hot and cold or in humid conditions, your skin or your wrists or your muscles, however you want to say it, can expand and contract. So you might have to loosen it up during the middle of the day, then tighten it back up at nighttime. If you're dehydrated, etc., like that. So for divers, they're able to expand and go over the wetsuit so that you can dive. So there's a lot of cool functionality to them. To me, if you don't have the quick, not quick release, but the quick adjustment, I think that to be a luxury brand, you have to do that, or you have to have that capability with your watch now. So this is a thicker watch as far for a GMT. It is 14.6 millimeters in thickness, but to me, and I have a larger wrist, about 7 3/4 to 8-inch wrist, and really it just settles perfectly in the middle of the wrist, where you don't notice how thick it is. I can easily wear it underneath my cuff like I am right here. It goes underneath the cuff, like no problem. And I like the toolness of it, but I also like the kind of like the vintage look with the cream or creme looking colors along with the GMT orange. The contrast is just beautiful in my opinion. So this is my daily driver, if I were to call them, as far as a luxury watch goes. And that's what's trying to beat it around, but it's a tool watch. It's a great one to travel because it goes underneath the radar. If you're in an unknown area and you don't want to be the target of wearing the most flashiest watch in the world, but have one that is comparable to start a discussion, this is a watch that I think would do really well. A comparable watch would be like a GMT Rolex. So those are typically about 12.2 millimeters in thickness. So it's almost 2.5 millimeters thinner. But that being said, you are typically paying between for a steel watch, between $7,000 and $25,000 more for a little bit for a couple millimeters in thickness. So I think this is a really good value watch. I do believe that they're going to be doing some updates to the Metas and everything else with the watch itself. So probably when Watches and Wonders comes along, and this year, part of my predictions for this year's watches was that all they were really going to do for Tudor, in my opinion, was really just update the movements in their whole entire line, make sure everything's up to date, and just really stands out in that front. And I think this year Rolex is going to be offloading their catalog and really bringing out a whole bunch of newness. That's a word, newness. But they're bringing out a lot of newness. And red's going to be what's going to be a cup of tea this year. And it's going to prove everybody wrong, I think, when it comes to the Pepsi or the GMT Rolex Pepsi, where they think that the red is real difficult to produce. And somebody made a good point. I think it was on Grand Caliber, I believe, that if you want the Coke, which is a black and red version of the bezel of the GMT Master 2, and you can't get that one and then discontinue the red and blue because the red's a difficult color to make on this watch. So something's not going to add up there. I think they're going to figure it out. They have billions of dollars to figure it out. They have some of the best R&D in the game. And I think the Pepsi's going to stay around. I do think red's going to be a color in the Submariners. I think there's going to be a new line. I think there's going to be just a new overhaul of their catalog for the next 5 to 10 years that I think is going to be really exciting. And back to this watch really quickly. I am looking to get the hybrid rubber leather band. Spoke to Adam, my an AD down in New Orleans where I bought this watch. So yeah, I heard that story. Go back about 3 or 4 episodes. I talk about how I got this watch, and and I'm wearing it now, and I'm looking for the next band for a band for it so I can wear it in the summer. So I typically will wear the bracelet when it's colder, and I usually wear either a rubber leather strap or the NATO strap in the spring summertime. It just feels more comfortable to me. I'm in the water, I'm working outside a lot, getting dirty, and it just seems like the right feel for my wrist. But so what do you think of the a Tudor lineup in general? Do you have any ideas of what may be coming out this year? I'd love to hear your predictions and thoughts. Thoughts on a Tudor Black Bay Pro or Black Bay Pro line in general. I do think the Black Bay Pro line is getting kind of large now, and I think they just slow in the row as call them at least, I think close to half of their line Black Bay is something can get kind of confusing to an extent. But if and when I get this strap here, I'm going to be happy to open it up and show you guys and show you what it looks like. And So tell me in the description what you're wearing, what you're flexing this week, and what's on the horizon for you. Is there a watch on the horizon that you're looking up? You're looking towards? You're eyeing up, you're saving for, or are you accessorizing your watch? I'd love to hear what you're doing. So next, so this week is a really busy week. I'm doing the off-road expo here in Utah, and so this video is gonna be a little shorter than I typically do. So as you may know, I do a little bit longer videos just to engage with the content. I don't have the capacity in my day-to-day to throw out 5 different videos and break them all into different segments. Small company, still working on that. One day I'll have a whole crew, hopefully, and we can start firing 2 or 3 of these out per week. But newsletter. So newsletter will start on March 1st. That'll be our first company KILT Beard Co newsletter. So if you have a beard and you want to stay in touch with our products, if you want to learn more about the ingredients, products, or blog, if you want to catch the cliff notes of this show, or even the cliff notes from A Cup with Joe and Dakota, and many more other things, there'll be exclusive offers in there. This is going to be your contact point to really just engage with this content. Also, I'll leave a description down at the bottom so you won't miss the first issue. And you can also go to our website, KILTBEARDCO.com, and go under newsletter in the main bar up on top. And you can sign up right there also. A few other things that we'll talk about in this newsletter is wins and lessons from a company standpoint. I believe the customer should know that we're listening, and also that we're engaging with feedback just internally and externally, so that we can be a better company and make sure you get the best experience possible. Also, exclusive promotions for products, like I said. These exclusive promotions, if you want to call them that, will only be in this newsletter. It won't be online. They won't be on social media. They won't be on the website. It'll just be exclusively on this newsletter. And yeah, so keep your eye out for that. Yeah, and we'll keep you in the loop of what we're doing throughout the year. We've got a busy calendar, from expos like this weekend to Scottish festivals or Celtic festivals, and also industry like barber and salon expos. You name it, we're going to be doing it, and we're going to be really busy, and we would love to engage with you and stay engaged with us and keep us on track. So sign up for our newsletter. We'd love you to continue the conversation and help you and your beard stay amazing, and just enjoy life in general. So moving on. Really smooth, really smooth. I love this. So this is one of my favorite segments because nobody in the beer community is really doing this. I got this from the watch community, as I've said before. Usually in the watch community, they have what your watch says about you, and it comes in style here and there, but I'm doing what your beard says about you. And today we're going to be talking about the Mutton Chops. And first of all, let's talk about the friendly Mutton Chops, which is connected from the burns and up into the stash, but no goatee or no fur mane on the beard, on the chin here, and nothing on the lower neck. So Ambrose Burnside is a great example of this, and this was really I want to call it popular, because not everybody was doing this, but this was a more accepted beard style back in the Imperial Civil War type era right there. And we still see some out there in the wild, and as an interesting perspective, as I was going through, who to showcase on here, and I did Mr. Burnside here. It kind of has like an avatar look of a face. It kind of has your chin and below your lip as an afterthought, and really enlarges the eyes and the upper part of the face. And as this man looks off, he has that stare of like kind of like an alpha stare, a lion stare, if you will. And that's what I get from it. And it tells me that the demeanor has a distinct lion demeanor. And it's a person who takes confidence in pulling something like this off. And the enlargement of the eyes, it brings focus, and it really sets you apart from everybody else. And that's what an alpha, that's what a lion kind of does, especially when it comes to facial hair. And you don't have to be super bushy as in this one to be pronounced, but this really kind of blurs that divide between the upper lip and upper jawbone to the lower lip and lower jawbone. And mutton chops. So mutton chops in general. So there are different types of mutton chops. First one I would call the friendly, where it connects the beard to the sideburns like this, like I said. And then there's the alternative, which is more of a modern interpretation, if you want to call it that, from Hugh Jackman, who played Wolverine from the X-Men. And the first time I saw this, I was like, dude, this guy is crazy. He's like from his burns are extended all the way under his chin, but like nothing here. And this is like really just him. I mean, it fits his perspective, or it fits his persona so much. I mean, being a very well built, having that alpha like don't mess with me attitude. And what this look tells me is that this man wants to draw distinct attention to and focus to his eyes and mouth, versus the other one, which is just more of the eyes. These people, like the Imperial and Friendly Mutton Chops, are trying to announce the alpha like demeanor also, but in their a more full presence, if you will. They likely have few but real close friends, and are definitely people you want on your side in a brawl in the alley. And on the other side, I wouldn't want to be one-on-one with a man like this in the alley who has this kind of a presence. And I can hold my own, and I know I can hold my own, but at the same time, there's always somebody out there who's bigger, badder than you. And this would put you on notice to know the type of personality or will that you'd be going up against. So what do you think about mutton chop style? Do you rock this style? I have never rocked this style. I was kind of like thinking I was going to take a selfie and go into like Canva, which is a editing software, and blur out this area and this area and see what I would look like before I did any like hacking. I don't think my wife would go for it. But anyways, I think it'd be pretty interesting what that would look like. But I'm curious if you've rocked this up before, what your thoughts about it. Am I on point with my observations when it comes to mutton chops? Do you think mutton chops should come back? Do you think it should stay dead? Or do you think this is a very singular type of style only for a very few? I'd love to hear your comments in the description. Please leave them down there. This one, I'm kind of curious what your thoughts may be. But other than that, like I said, this week's going to be nice and short. I hope you're going to have a wonderful week. And I'd love to hear what you're drinking, what you're flexing, and, if mutton chops are a thing or not. And other than that, To repeat myself, have a great weekend. Cheers. And stay amazing. Thank you.